with the golden brush, and this lesson is called the magical measuring method. Have you ever wondered about seeing photos, usually a long time ago because I don't see it that much anymore, of artists using their thumb and they're squinting their eye and they're eyeing up something that they're going to paint? Well, the reason for that is they're really squinting one eye and they're using their finger, their thumb, to measure perspective and dimensions of their subject matter. So today, I'm just going to use a quick and easy lion for our magical measuring method. So I use a paintbrush. I really like using just one of my paintbrushes. I like to keep things really, really simple because it's always easier for people to remember. It keeps your supply list down and to a minimum, and it makes your work go very fast. And you know, we just don't need a whole lot of superfluous stuff. Now, I like nice things and I like to have beautiful things, and I am not in any way minimalistic, but I kind of am when we're working, because it seems that when we have a whole lot of things that we don't need, supplies that we don't need, brushes that we don't need, paint that is not necessary, like bought mixed colors, and we'll talk about that later. It makes the job a lot harder, more confusing, and more time consuming. So we want to get that sketch done quick so we can get to the painting, which is fun, right? Okay, I am using marker today only because I want it to show up for you to see about the measuring. Usually I use a pencil and I keep it light so that my painting goes quicker and we don't have this huge heavy line, but it is easier to see on video. So I suggest using a charcoal or using just a pencil and a paintbrush as your measuring stick. So I'm going to be turning this way to show you some measuring. So you're going to use your paintbrush and measure dimensions of the main structure. So since we're going to be using a lion, it's really stuck on there. We're going to be using a lion, and I'm using a board that a dear friend of mine gives me these beautiful supplies. This is bamboo flooring, but it's very, very, very thin. They use it in special situations, and it makes a beautiful textured background for a painting. So that's what I'm using today because I love these colors with the lion. So we're going to use the main structure. If it's an animal or a person or anything, you don't want to use the hair or anything that grows off the main structure as part of your measurement, because the hair, the clothes, the decor, the eyelashes, whatever it is that's extra grows off of that main structure. So the main structure is his head. So we like to sketch or paint or create the way that something is built, how it grows, or how it is made or created in nature. And that's how we sketch it to begin with. So the height of his head is this tall. So I'm going to make a mark at the top of my brush, and where my finger is, where it measured the height at the tallest point down the center of his face. Now I'm going to measure the width at its widest point first. So that would be this area from here to here. And I put one end on one side and my other fingers where that is, and it's this wide. So centering my original dots, coming down approximately to where that widest point is. I make a mark and I make a mark. Now I'm going to come down and I'm going to measure across here, which is a slightly smaller point. I'm going to come down using the center, making a mark on the side and a mark where my fingers are. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to measure the width, getting a little bit smaller right there. Now in humans and animals, the nose determines quite a lot. So we always want to do the nose first. So the nose, if you will notice in a human, the outside of our nostrils, if you were to hold a straight line up, it is the inside corner of our eye, and it determines where we put our eyes. So we're going to measure his nose at the widest point from the outside of the nostril to the outside of the other nostril. But first, we need to determine how far up that nose goes. So we're going to measure from the bottom of his chin chopper to the top of his nose. Here's the top of his nose. Make a little mark. Then we're going to measure from nostril to nostril, centering that mark, okay? And we're going to measure how tall it is from here to here. Now, all we have to do is draw it, and he has a little dip there. The nostrils go in. It's like a backward C and a forward C. And then we have this little thing that goes right down into his septum. The septum is going to determine where his mouth goes. So we've got his nose on. Now we can determine where the inside corner of the eyes go. So we're going to measure from this corner and go up. And that's where the inside corner of that eye goes. And this one on this side, we measure both sides so that we're precise. We're going to go ahead and measure each eye. Everything gets measured. Everything gets measured. You make your dots. Now here's another tip. If you'll notice, I went ahead and sketched on my nose before I went on to do the eyes. The reason that I did that is if you get thousands of little dots on there, you're going to forget what each thing is. So once you finish an area, go ahead and connect your dots. If you ever did connect the dot projects, that's kind of like what this is. That's why it's so simple. So if you've ever done that, you know you need to connect the dots. The eyes are this tall. I'm going to go ahead and sketch on my eye. Now I don't really necessarily want to round things out. We want to, I call it linearize everything. You want to keep things in flat planes, even though the eye or the line of the face may seem rounded. You don't want to round it. You want to linearize it. So I'm going to do flat planes to indicate the eyes. There are his eyes and how they're gonna go, okay? So I got the eyes on there. Now I'm gonna measure the septum. The septum is from here to here, and his mouth goes down like an upside down Y from here to here. I'm going to go ahead and put his mouth on, okay? And now I want to go ahead and sort of indicate the structure of his face just lightly, because you're going to be painting all of this in. So I'm just going to lightly come around. Now, you can't see in this photo very well. You're going to have to trust me on that. But his ears are here. The eyes also determine ears on animals, not on humans. That's another lesson. So the center of the eye going up determines the inside corner of where the ear begins. Okay, make a little mark. And then you measure the width of the ear to know where the other side is, and then you also measure the height. And that is how the ear goes. He's coming along. He's really coming along very nicely. So we're almost ready to paint. And some of you are saying, wait a minute, I don't see his mane or anything else. No, you don't, because that gets painted in last. All the fluff and all of the decor and all of those things that come off the structure, they come last. So we're going to go ahead. The next step for our sketch here would be to begin painting, starting with our darks. So I can't wait to see your sketches that you have used the magical measuring method on. And here's another little tip now, and this will be another lesson, but I'm going to give you a preview. If you wanted, let's say I wanted to make this lion be the size of this big sheet, I would go ahead and I would double these measurements. So if I wanted him to be big, which I really do, so I'm going to turn this board around and do a big lion, I'm going to double everything. So I would measure the height of his head, which was from here to here, correct? And I would double it. I would find center, the center of my board, and I would double my measurement. I would double everything. Everything has to be doubled, because remember, it's going to be twice the size, double the size of this guy. So his width of his face would not be here. I would find the center of my board, and it would be 1, 2. It would be 2 measures of everything. Everything would be doubled. That's the trick. So I will see you soon on my next lesson. I'm Talin with the Golden Brush. Happy measuring. Bye.